Hey guys, the guy who loves Star Wars here. What an episode. Chapter 15, The Believer. If you haven't watched it yet, there's going to be plenty of spoilers. Let me center myself first. Ooh, there we go. Crazy episode. Let's get right into it first of all. My Boba Fett helmet here. He's going to need a new paint job, apparently. Come on, Hasbro. Get ahead. Kidding, I love that thing. Alright, first of all, everybody on Instagram and on Twitter and everywhere is saying that was a filler episode. That was definitely not a filler episode. That was a very necessary episode. We needed to find out where Moff was. We had no idea where he is with the child. We had to figure out where he was. Getting Mayfeld out of prison and having him help was the most perfect plan ever. We thought we'd gang up with Bo-Katan and Ahsoka maybe again. Not yet. I say yet. Maybe we'll see them in the last episode. Maybe not. But I feel like we'll see Bo-Katan just because she was going after Moff the last time we saw her. Let's get into the episode, and I don't want to start predicting until the very end. So we start off with Mayfeld in the prison. Prison. It's more of a junkyard, pretty much. He was working for the New Republic, and Cara Dune, the new marshal, comes out and takes him out of the prison. And we come up to the slave one, and we see that Boba, who's first in line with the gun, with his nice blaster from Empire Strikes Back, has a new paint job. Love to see it, except now my helmet looks old and rusted. But it was still pretty cool. And then he's like, "Oh, I was expecting this. I thought you were someone else." And then Mando comes out. So they tell Mayfeld that they need his help to find Moff Gideon's ship, and he's like laughing because that's ridiculous. But then they tell him that they took the kid, and he sees how serious they are, and he knows that he needs to help. So they go to Morak. Morak, Mando's like, there's no Imperial whatever there, but there's a secret mining facility there. What they're mining is Rhodonium, which is highly explosive, and we've seen it in Star Wars Rebels, in the Sabine and Hara episode where they're trapped on this planet, and it's a whole thing. But we've only seen it like once or twice before, and it's very explosive, and it's what they're mining out on Morak. So the Imperials are mining it out because they can blow up villages, they can do whatever they want with it. And of course, it's highly explosive. So they steal a ship. Only Mando and Mayfeld can go in because there has to be a face scanner, and you got Cara Dune, who's the new Marshal of the New Republic. She gets seen. You got Fennec, who's wanted by the Imperials. And then you got Boba, whose face is obviously recognizable because there was a million clones of him. So you're left with Mayfeld and Mando, because no one recognizes Mando's face when no one's seen it. And they steal this transport of Rhodonium, and Mando has to switch into a stormtrooper costume, which is pretty awesome because you never see him not in the Mando. So they steal it, and Bill Burr says a bunch of jokes and blah blah blah. By the way, Bill Burr, great acting in this episode. But we go by a village, and it reminds Mando a lot of when he was a kid and he was in his village, and how there was the Imperials who came, or the Separatists, sorry, who came in and destroyed his village, and then the Mandalorians came and saved him. And he could tell that he made eye contact with one kid who he could tell was just in the same situation as him when the Imperials were there and they had control over his village, and these people just want to be left alone. They don't care if it's the New Republic or the Empire. This is what Mayfeld says. When the transports in front of them explode, they know that something's up, and these pirates come out from behind. Sadly, we didn't get to see Hondu, but there's still a chance we could in next season, maybe. But the pirates came out, and we got to see Mando go badass without all of his special gadgets and such. And he took down all of them, and it was sick. But then there was way too many, and the TIE fighters came in and saved the day, and the Empire saves the day. We've never seen this before. Always the Empire's been the bad guys, and the Empire's the worst. But they saved the day, and when we get there, the stormtroopers are celebrating, and they're clapping, and they're saluting Mando and Mayfeld, even though they're the good guys, and we know that the Empire's the bad guys. Right now, they don't seem like the bad guys because there's happy music, and they're celebrating and whatever. But Mayfeld sees his old superior officer in the room where they have to go scan his face to find out where Moff is. So Mando has to go do it. And Mando takes off his helmet, and for the second time, we finally see Pascal's face. And it's pretty cool. He does great acting where obviously he feels uncomfortable not wearing his helmet because he always has been. And he does great way of showing us that. And Mayfeld's superior officer was Valen Hess, and he comes up to Mando and he said, or did, he goes, "What are you doing here?" He asks for his name, he asks for his number, and Mayfeld comes in and saves the day, and he says, "Oh, he can't hear because he was too close to an explosion, blah, blah, blah." Then they sit down and get a drink because they're the only shipment that's come in, has been attacked by pirates and blown up. So they get a drink, and they say, "What should we toast to?" And Mayfeld says, "Oh, let's toast to Operation Cinder." And if you don't know what Operation Cinder is, it's from Battlefront 2 in the campaign. If you haven't played it, definitely go play it. It's pretty good. But it's after the Battle of Endor when the Emperor dies. And it's his contingency plan on how if he dies, then he doesn't want the New Republic to rise up. So he has a contingency plan called the Operation Cinder where he sends like these things to these planets that make the Mother Nature go crazy on the planets, and there's these huge whatevers. It's a whole big thing. But that's what he says to toast to, and Valen Hess says, "Oh, you know your history," and Mayfeld's like, "Yeah, because blah blah blah, I worked there, whatever." And you can tell Bill Burr really prepared for this acting role because he was the perfect PTSD soldier. Like he had the part down. And then of course, Valen Hess says, "To the Empire," and Mayfeld's like, "Phew, phew." And then they have to escape. And obviously they get to the roof, and with Fennec and Kara on the hill sniping, they get up onto the roof and go to the Slave One. And the Slave One is going away, and he lets out a seismic charge. Two TIE fighters come flying in. He lets out a seismic charge. Of course, we've seen this in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan was chasing Boba Fett and Jango Fett. And we haven't seen it since, and it's the greatest noise ever, and everybody loves the seismic charge noise. But we got to see a seismic charge, which is sick. And then they land, and they let Mayfield go. Kara's like, "Oh, didn't you know that Mayfield died?" And blah, 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 blah. And then we go to Moff Gideon. And Moff Gideon has a message coming in for him, and it's a hologram of Mando. And this is the greatest ending scene ever. It's the exact same words that Moff said to Mando when they were trapped in the bar in the end of episode 7 of the first season. This is the end of episode 7 of the second season, and it's the very end. It was the very end, and it was the same line as what Moff said in that episode, and it's the same line that Mando said in this episode about the child. And Mando is coming. He's coming, and he's mad, and I love it. And I can't wait for the next episode. This last 3 episodes is the craziest stretch of Star Wars I've seen in years and years. It's pretty crazy. But I'll leave it with that. I got videos on all those new shows coming out. I got videos on what I think they'll be about and what I think they are about, and trailer breakdowns and stuff like that. All right, you get it. You good? Okay. No, yeah. Mando. Can't wait for next week. May the Force be with you.